The market is shifting. There's a lot of uncertainty. People are holding back because they're not sure on whether they should sell their home or not. Nobody wants to make the wrong decision. Nobody wants to make the wrong move. Everybody wants to make as much as possible. So everybody is so nervous. They have all these fears going on in their head. They're not sure on which way to go. That is totally understandable. It's a big decision to make. I get it. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to guide you through questions that I think would be so helpful for you to ask yourself, for you to determine if selling is right for you. Now, these are the questions when I meet with potential sellers. These are the exact same questions that I go through with them. Because even though I get a call from them inquiring on deciding on whether they want to sell their home or not, remember, the decision to sell is not set in stone yet. They're just basically testing the waters. They're not sure. They're looking for guidance. They're looking for someone to actually give them that yes or no. But I'm not there to give you that yes or no. You have to figure out that yes or no yourself. Because if you determine that yes or no yourself, you won't regret your decision in the end. And the reason why I say that is a lot of people are not asking themselves the right questions. This is a question I get asked a lot. If I sell, where am I going to go? That's an important question to ask, right? But what if you asked yourself, where do I want to go? Now, how would that reframe your thoughts? You would start to think about all the things you need to do in order to get you to that home that you want to get to. Instead of saying, where am I going to go? Saying, where am I going to go? It leaves you with no answers, no questions to ask yourself to get you to that goal. So that's the number one thing that we're doing that's not helping the situation. We're not asking ourselves the right question. And that brings us to this main question that you're going to ask yourself if you're thinking about selling your home. We're going to determine the why. Why are we thinking about putting our home up for sale in the first place? So there could be many reasons. And based on my experience working with clients, these are just some of the topics that do come up that determine whether they're going to sell or not. Say you're an empty nester. All your kids have now finished university, they've gotten married, they moved on, they're living on their own, and now you and your partner are left in this huge home all by yourself. You no longer need the space, it's getting harder to maintain. You're thinking about possibly selling your home in order to buy something that's smaller so that it fits your current needs now of just being you and your partner living in this home. So in this situation, your why would be to downsize because you're looking for less space. You're perhaps wanting to look for a bungalow style home with less stairs, or living in a condo where all the amenities are included there and you don't really have to do much maintenance. So in those type of situations, you're digging deep and figuring out, okay, all my kids are gone. It's just the two of us. We don't need this huge house anymore. So our main why is to get something that's smaller, to downsize. So in a situation like this, I'm analyzing the situation with a client, right? To determine why. I'm not convincing them. They now told me that the reason as to why they're thinking of selling is because they want a smaller space. Now I'm just walking them through that process to determine and for them to kind of solidify that why so that they feel comfortable with their decision. And once they feel comfortable with that decision, they're more likely to move forward with it and not regret it. So now also by downsizing, you're touching upon another factor, which is reducing your debt. And what I mean by this is you're going from a home that costs a lot more to purchasing something that costs less, which overall reduces the amount of debt that you are now owing. And in a lot of situations, a lot of people that do downsize end up mortgage free. So that factor of reducing debt is just another motivating why as to why, an individual that's downsizing would want to sell now. Now, on the other hand, if your family is growing, you're no longer a couple, but you're now expecting kids, or you have kids already, and your current home is a little too cramped and you're looking for something bigger. In this type of situation, your why would be, I need to upsize. I need a bigger home. I need more space for my family. So in this type of scenario, your why would be, we can no longer manage with the space that we have. You're wanting more, you're wanting more room because your family is growing. So the motivating factor here is to live more comfortably. You're no longer comfortable in the cramped space that you're in. So that's a strong enough motivating factor to have you want to sell your current home now and upsize to something bigger. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. In this market, when home prices are not selling for as much as they were earlier on in the year, why should I sell now and buy something bigger? Because am I not going to lose out? And that's a great point to make. But what we have to realize is when we sell high, we buy high. When we sell low, we buy low. Say you're currently living in a 3-bedroom home. It's becoming too cramped, your family is growing, and you need a 5-bedroom home. So right now, the price that you are able to sell your home for, yes, it might not be as much as you could have gotten if it was earlier in the year, but when you're looking for that 5-bedroom home, you're actually getting it at a better deal now because the prices have reduced. So although you're not selling for as much, you're also not buying for as much. So in that scenario, it kind of balances itself out. You might not be reducing debt in this type of situation, but you might be getting more for less. So that same house that you were looking for beginning of the year, perhaps you couldn't have afforded it because the prices were too high. There was overbidding. Homes were going for a lot over asking. But now the market has shifted. It's kind of calmed down. And now you're able to get that same 5-bedroom house for less. So you're getting your more house for less money. So in this type of situation, you would really have to sit down with your realtor and go over the numbers to see the comps of how much your potential home could sell for and what's the price of the home that you're wanting is going for. And this way you can determine whether selling your home now is the best choice for you and you can go towards that upsize home that you've always wanted. Now, another possible scenario that I hear about a lot is now, during COVID, a lot of us were working from home, and now that everything's kind of going back to normal, people are having to actually go back in the office. So another reason why people are thinking about selling is because they need to relocate because of their job. So in this situation, the why is more necessity than a want, because in order to keep their job, they have to live closer to it for whatever reason they may be. Maybe it's a different city that they need to move to because the commute is just too long for them to maintain in the same place that they're in. So the why in this situation is a little bit more urgent because they now have to make a decision on whether they're going to increase their travel by another maybe hour and a half, just let's say for example, or they're going to stay put where they are and endure that commute. So these are the type of situations that you need to sit down with your realtor and determine if the cost outweighs the benefit. And that way you're going to be able to come to a better conclusion as to whether selling your current home now is the best choice for you in order to be closer to your job. Now, another reason why someone would consider to relocate is to be closer to family. So there could be multiple different reasons as to why we need to be closer to family. One could be we just want to be closer to family, right? We want to stay connected. So you were living further because let's say it was cheaper to live somewhere else, but now you've determined that, you know what, my parents are getting older. I want to be closer to them. I just feel all by myself because I'm not able to see them as often. So your main why is to, be closer to family so that you can be connected more. So in this scenario, your why would be, I need to sell now because I need to relocate to be closer to my family. And lastly, another scenario that comes up often is parents that are wanting to change schools or change the environment that they're currently living in for the betterment of their kids. So say you're currently living in a neighborhood that at one point it was good for you and your partner to live in. Say it was the city life and you enjoyed the busyness, the entertainment that's there, but now your lifestyle has kind of changed because you now have a family and now you want to be in an environment that's, say, a little bit more family oriented, that have like a lot of parks and schools and different types of community centers so that you can do fun activities with your kids. So in this type of situation, the lifestyle has changed for the family. They're no longer, just a couple that like that city life. They're now a family that wants, the best schools, the best neighborhoods, that family-oriented type of feel. So in this type of situation, your why to sell now would be to change the neighborhood that you're living in. Now to recap, I've given you a bunch of scenarios that I see that come up often that help determine everyone's why on whether they should sell or not. Now that I've given you a better understanding of some of the different scenarios that come up on whether to determine whether you want to sell or not, you now have to ask yourself the right questions to determine if that urgency to sell now is there or not. And what I mean by that is, your whys have to be big enough to want to make that change. If your why is not big enough, you're not going to make that change. You're not going to move. You're not going to put your home on the market to sell because your why is not strong enough. Now keep in mind, your whys are not limited to just these options here. It could be anything. But that's the questions that you have to ask yourself. And don't feel like you have to do this on your own. If you have a trusted realtor, or if you would like to reach out to myself to go over, what your thought process is, what's your reasoning, what's your why, I'd be more than happy to do that. And I'm sure your trusted realtor would be more than happy to do that as well, so that you can go in, feeling that you've made the right decision to sell your home because your main goal was to end up in something better, either one of these situations. I hope this video was helpful at providing you with some more insight on asking yourself the right questions so that you can make the right decision on whether to sell now or not. The reason why I think this is so important is because there have been many times where I see that people have sold their home and they end up regretting the decision they made. If there's anything that you can get from this video is to really look at your why deep inside to kind of get a better understanding of why you're making the decision in the first place, and look towards whether it's going to bring you that joy and fulfillment that you're looking for, so that you won't end up regretting in the end. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.